Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Dominic, and in today's video we're going to take a look at a persistent legend that keeps cropping up in the A Song of Ice and Fire novels and examine how it translates to the very different interpretation of characters as seen in the TV show. Now, the legend surrounds a character known only as the Night King's Corpse Queen, an otherworldly woman said to have been a consort of the Night King during the Age of Heroes. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Age of Heroes is an era in Westerosi history where larger than life heroes performed great and clever deeds. It's kind of almost thought of as a mythological period because the stories of that era took place so long ago that nobody can really be expected to verify them. A good parallel would be to compare these stories with those we see in religious texts like the Old Testament. Samuel Tarly even says to John that the oldest histories we have were written after the Andals came to Westeros. The first men only left us runes on rocks, so everything we know about the Age of Heroes and the Dawn Age and the Long Night comes from the accounts set down by septons thousands of years later. There are archmaesters at the Citadel who question all of it. Those old histories are full of kings who reigned for 100 years and knights riding around 1,000 years before there were knights. So that should give you some example of how much truth we can glean from this particular story, but here's how it goes anyway. Allegedly, not long after the wall was complete, a fearless warrior and 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch fell in love with a woman beyond the wall who was thought to be an other or a White Walker. This Lord Commander eventually slept with this woman whom he professed to love. He then proceeded to bring her back to the Night Fort, a since abandoned castle that sits along the wall, and declare himself king and her his queen. Together, across their 13-year reign, the Night King and his queen were said to have committed terrible atrocities of which tales are still told in the north. One of these atrocities was human sacrifice. It took an alliance of Brandon the Breaker, the then king of Winter and the North as we know it, and Joramun, the king beyond the wall, to defeat the Night King and his queen, after which all records of him were destroyed and his name forbidden and forgotten. In the books we see Bran recall this tale as told to him by Old Nan. A woman was his downfall, a woman glimpsed from atop the wall with skin as white as the moon and eyes like blue stars. Fearing nothing, he chased her and caught her and loved her, though her skin was cold as ice, and when he gave his seed to her, he gave his soul as well. He brought her back to the Night's Fort and proclaimed her a queen and himself her king, and with strange sorceries he bound his sworn brothers to his will. It should also perhaps be noted that Old Nan tells Bran that she identifies the Night's King as a Stark of Winterfell, and even goes so far as to suggest that he was the brother of the then King of Winter. Now, this is all very cool stuff, but it first needs to be noted that the Night King of legend referenced in the books and the Night King of the present as seen in the show are almost certainly two different characters. For one, the Night King of the show appears to have been created by the Children of the Forest, seemingly in a time before the wall had been erected, whereas the one mentioned in the books was a Lord Commander of the Watch. Also, the Night King of the show is clearly a White Walker. The one mentioned in the books isn't necessarily anything other than a human who fell in love with a White Walker and, much like Craster, sacrificed his own men to them. The Night King also is yet to appear at all in the books, wherein he is firmly a figure of myth and legend. George R.R. Martin himself says that, "As for the Night King, the form I prefer, in the books he is a legendary figure, akin to Lan the Clever and Brandon the Builder, and no more likely to have survived to the present day than they have." Now, here is where the Night's Queen comes into it as things currently stand. You see, according to the legend, the Night's Queen was a White Walker, yet somehow the 13th Lord Commander and eventual Night's King was able to bring her across the wall to the Night's Fort. Does this just prove that the legend is false, or is there more to it than that? What if the intimacy shared between the Night King and his queen somehow gave her the power to cross the wall? I mean, it's just a theory and admittedly a shaky one, but Old Nan did say that she believes the Night King to have been a Stark, and as we know, it was Bran the Builder who erected the wall. Does this mean that Stark blood is somehow tied into the magic of the wall? We've already seen that when the Night King touched Bran whilst he was dimension hopping in the show, it seemingly gave him the power to cross the magical barrier, keeping his kind away from the lair of the three-eyed crow, or raven as it's called in the show. It's all a bit up in the air, but it's certainly something to think about. Is Stark blood tied to the magic of the wall? Will some interpretation of the Night's Queen make an appearance on the show in the future? Or am I just a crazy person who really needs to step away from his PC and go outside for a while? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun Game of Thrones content. I'm Dominic, and I'll see you again next time.